Hi, I'm Jeremy, the Internet Scrum Master. I have over 20 years' experience in tech and finance across many domains, and for the past decade, I've been a full-time Scrum Master. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone is concerned about AI replacing Scrum Masters, or a lot of people anyway. But your job as Scrum Master is safer than the headlines might suggest. So LLMs, we're talking like Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, are great tools. They can create or update Jira tickets. They can generate user stories if you feed them particular personas and your product definition, and it's pretty good at that. Also good at calculating velocity, although I would argue that AI and LLMs are overkill for calculating velocity because it's built into Jira. Regardless, LLMs or AI in general are not capable of navigating office politics. Today, we're breaking down why human intuition is still your greatest superpower. Automation is definitely handling the administrative work now, but it cannot facilitate the nuanced conversations required for true organizational change. We're diving into the specific skills that make a Scrum Master irreplaceable in this new era dominated by AI. First, we need to address the 2026 industry panic and why the latest LLM agents look like they can replace team leads. It's easy to look at the landscape and acknowledge the automation of administrative tasks like ticket updates and automated sprint reports. For years, a massive misunderstanding in the corporate world reduced the role of the Scrum Master to the Jira Secretary or the product owner assistant. In this degraded paradigm, the Scrum Master is tasked primarily with updating Kanban boards, moving tickets, taking minute meetings, scheduling calendar invites, and tracking individual capacity hours. If that's all that you do as a Scrum Master, then yes, an AI agent will probably replace you one day. But that was never the true role of a Scrum Master. The true work of a Scrum Master, observing team dynamics, identifying psychological friction, mediating conflict, questioning architectural assumptions, and coaching the product owner, are largely invisible and qualitative. To me, that sounds like a much more engaging job. And frankly, those things are worth the salary that a Scrum Master can demand, whereas updating Jira tickets I would find a questionable use of a highly skilled knowledge worker such as a Scrum Master. In this episode, we tackle the anxiety surrounding the 2026 AI Scrum Master by deconstructing why LLMs cannot facilitate human nuance or navigate messy organizational politics. An AI agent can generate a perfect sprint report in seconds, as can a non-AI Jira implementation, but can it coach a developer through a mid-sprint burnout? And while automation is everywhere and has been for quite a while, it still lacks the emotional intelligence to resolve team friction. But for the sake of argument, if somehow it does gain emotional intelligence, would you or any human take coaching advice from AI? If so, let me know why in the comments. Consider the day-to-day realities of working with people. A mature team coach functions partially as a performance coach, partially as a conflict mediator, and partially as an organizational therapist. An algorithm can't mediate a heated conflict between a product owner and a developer. Right? We have to constantly contrast the precision of AI with the messy reality of team morale and burnout. We must establish a protected space where it's safe to fail, because without safety, teams adopt toxic, risk-averse postures. In a toxic microculture, developers will hide bugs or delay reporting impediments to appear competent. Likewise, junior members will self-censor, refuse to challenge the suboptimal design decisions of senior engineers. There are nuances of human resistance to change that data patterns can identify but not resolve. The messy side of Agile is exactly why the Scrum Master is indispensable. Agile is about people. The very first value in the Agile Manifesto is we value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And that hasn't changed since the manifesto was created in 2001, and it isn't likely to change because of AI. A massive part of the role involves the hidden work of a Scrum Master that happens in hallways, virtual hallways, and off-the-record meetings. AI cannot build the political capital necessary to shield a team from shifting executive priorities. You cannot automate the importance of reading the room and sensing unspoken tension. The ultimate test of a mature Scrum Master lies in their ability to navigate the complex political architecture of the organizational hierarchy. Empirical research into Agile transformations consistently indicates that failure rarely occurs at the team level or at the executive level. Rather, transformations consistently stall, regress, and die in the heavily resistant layer known as middle management. Directors, resource managers, functional supervisors, and engineering leads to a lesser extent represent the organizational layer most violently disrupted by the introduction of Agile frameworks. In the traditional corporate structure, middle managers derive their authority from directing the tasks of their subordinates and acting as the informal conduit reporting status to leadership. The implementation of Agile frameworks systematically strips away both of these functions, rendering traditional management behaviors obsolete. Consequently, middle managers experience a profound sense of displacement, loss of control, and existential fear regarding their career relevance. This fear manifests as active resistance. An AI cannot solve this existential dread. The Scrum Master cannot succeed by fighting middle management. Such an adversarial approach guarantees the demise of the Agile role itself. Instead, they must coach and integrate the management tier. One of the most effective structured interventions for this is utilizing the "What I Need from You" exercise in a dedicated session, bridging teams and middle management. Corporate environments are plagued by vague, non-committal jargon that muddles responsibility and allows impediments to persist. In the exercise, the Scrum Master facilitates a strict dialogue where the development teams clearly express essential, unambiguous needs to the management tier. Crucially, the receiving management group is restricted to one of 4 responses: yes, no, I will try, or whatever. Whatever meaning it's irrelevant to them. By forcing unambiguous responses and making the commitments public, the Scrum Master establishes a new, transparent social contract. Algorithms do not mediate power struggles. Humans do. There's a long list of specific, low-value tasks that we can hand over to AI tools today. Sprint velocity measures the amount of work a team successfully completes in a given sprint, most commonly quantified using story points. The calculation of velocity is mechanically straightforward, but requires strict discipline. AI is perfectly capable of averaging this total over multiple stable sprints to establish the team's historical average velocity. Though I'd argue AI is overkill for this task. Jira has built-in velocity reports already. Regardless, what happens next is why a human is required. The severe dysfunction arises when management attempts to repurpose velocity as a metric for measuring human productivity. Driven by a desire for quantifiable progress, well-intentioned executives will often mandate that their teams increase their velocity by 20% over a period of time. When in actuality, the highest performing teams maintain a consistent velocity over time, enabling predictability of feature completion dates. If a manager pressures a team to increase their velocity, the team will subconsciously or consciously respond by inflating their estimates. A user story that historically would have been estimated at 3 points will now be estimated at 5 points. The velocity number will climb, satisfying the manager's target, but the actual volume of business value delivered remains entirely unchanged. The completion dates don't change. Potentially, they could even be delayed because there's additional uncertainty in the backlog. A dashboard will just show a chart going up and to the right. The Scrum Master must act as a fierce coach to the organization and insist the lines stay flat. This isn't the stock market, after all. You have to intervene and educate leadership on relative sizing and shield the team from velocity targets that prevent point inflation. As organizations mature, the necessity for the Scrum Master to evolve becomes absolute. You can no longer survive as just a tactical blocker remover. You have to evolve from the mindset addressing higher level blockers and organizational constraints. This evolution requires the practitioner to look outward, becoming a flow detective, somebody who optimizes the broader Agile ecosystem rather than merely protecting an isolated development team. Historically, the Scrum Master looked inward to protect the team. But if the overall organizational system is dysfunctional, protecting an isolated team is completely futile. Ultimately, the role of the modern Scrum Master is not merely to enforce an Agile framework, but to actively evolve organizational culture, to bridge the gap between empirical execution at the team level and strategic enablement at the management level. I encourage you to start leading on empathy and culture. Doing so will firmly define the unique value proposition of a Scrum Master in an increasingly automated 2026 landscape. The admin Scrum Master is obsolete, but the transformational coach is more valuable than ever. That's all for today. Until next time, take care.